The countdown is on for WWE WrestleMania week in Orlando. Join us at the WrestleCon FanFest Friday, March 31st and Saturday, April 1st with over 150 top superstars and WWE legends available for autographs and pose photos. At the MWF booth, meet Shelton Benjamin, Zeb Colter, and John Cena Sr. both days. For discount pre-sale tickets, visit BostonWrestling.com.
Are you part of a non-profit organization, a youth group looking to raise cash for your cause? Stay tuned at the end of this video to learn how you can bring the action and excitement of the Millennium Wrestling Federation to your town live, featuring the superstars and legends of yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans around the corner and around the world, welcome to a special installment of Wrestling Insiders. This is Dan Marotti, downtown Melrose, Massachusetts, just north of Boston. The countdown is on to the biggest week for the professional wrestling industry of the year. We're talking about WrestleMania week this year, emanating from beautiful Orlando, Florida, the Sunshine State. Millennium Wrestling Federation is very proud to be a part of the WrestleCon convention yet again this year. We're going to be joined by our former president, John Cena Sr., one of the greatest athletes to ever step foot in a wrestling ring, Shelton Benjamin, and a man I'm very, very happy to have on the telephone with me right now. A man we hope to have much more to do with as time goes on here in the MWF. I'm talking about Dutch Mantell, also recently known as WWE as Zeb Colter, the leader of Jack Swagger. Dutch, it's a pleasure, absolute pleasure. I've been waiting to talk to you for a while now here on the show.
Well, I'm glad to be on your show. I always looking forward to coming down to Orlando during WrestleMania week. Like you said, the biggest week in the pro wrestling industry, and WrestleMania is always a spectacle. I don't care if you're just watching it from a distance. It's always a spectacle. And to me, I've been to like 4 WrestleManias, and they've had, how many WrestleManias have they had? 33?
33 will be this year, yeah.
Well, I've been on 4 of them. But every one I've ever gone to was just, it's hectic and it's busy, but it is a lot of fun, and the fans really like it, and I really enjoy going to it.
If fans somehow come across this online or on television here in the Northeast, and they're not quite sure what the heck a WrestleCon is during WrestleMania week, it's nothing fraudulent. It's actually a convention that's going to bring together over 200 superstars from across the globe for autographs and pose photos. There's also going to be Q&As, live wrestling events. WWE has a litany of events in their own right, but if you are a diehard professional wrestling fan, there's literally something to do every minute of every day from Thursday through, I think, the next Wednesday, where they've added an NXT taping. We're going to have a booth there, and again, we're going to have John Cena Sr., Shelton Benjamin, and Dutch Mantell with us for both Friday and Saturday. So you're going to have a chance to come over, say hello, get an autograph, get a posed photo, and in Dutch's case, if you're a big fan of that chant, "We the People," I'm looking at a big American flag right here now in the studio, you're going to be able to do direct "We the People" promos with Dutch. Now, if that's not something to put on your Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, I don't know what is. I think that could be a lot of fun.
Oh, that will be a lot of fun. You're talking about "We the People." It's a funny story. I was sitting I live around Nashville, and I'm just sitting at home one day, and the phone rang, and it's WWE, and they said, "Hey, what are you doing next Monday?" And I really didn't have a lot going on. And I said, "Well, not a lot." They said, "Well, we'd like to talk to you. Can you come down to the arena, and some people want to talk to you?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll be happy to." This was like a Thursday. Mm-hmm. So, it's Monday Night Raw. So I went down there, went in, and I honestly thought they wanted to talk to me about NXT. Mm-hmm. That's what I thought, to go and help out there. But, the Triple H walked up to me and said, "Hey, we got this idea for you, and we want you to manage Jack Swagger." And he laid the whole scenario of the thing out to me. And he says, and he described it as an older guy who's kind of lost faith in America, and he doesn't see it coming back, and he's disillusioned, and he said, "Well, I said, well, 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 I And he says, "You think you could do that?" And I said, "Well, let me think about it a minute." You remember the movie Gran Torino
Oh, yeah, that was great.
with Clint Eastwood?
Yep.
That was one of my favorite movies. And I said, if they're talking about a disillusioned veteran, American, who's lost faith in American and thinks it's going to the dogs, I got to thinking Clint Eastwood in Gran Torino.
Perfect
So
character for that. Yep.
when I did I had to do like a little promo tape, a little audition.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the first time I've ever auditioned in the wrestling profession ever. So I went back there, and I'm channeling Clint Eastwood. And I just remembered some of his lines in the movie, and I said, "Hey, when I walk down the street, I see people that don't look like me, and they don't talk like me, and they don't eat the same foods that I eat." And I says, "What happened to my America?" And that was it. And they took it in there to Vince, and Vince took one look at it. He usually says, "You're fired." But this time, he said, "You're hired." I swear to God, I went down there at 3:30 in the afternoon. I did my audition. I got hired at 4:30, and I was on live on Raw at 7:30.
Isn't that something? Let me ask you this, where I'm sure there are a lot of veterans that would have loved to have had a chance to swing for the fences with that character. Was there anyone else under consideration under the new?
Well, they weren't really veterans. They had, I think, Robert Fuller. I think he was under consideration for it. But I think that, I don't know, he was, Robert has a tendency, he's a very likable guy. And they didn't think he could be serious enough with it. Jimmy Golden was another.
Really?
Jimmy wasn't the greatest talker in the world. And he had been with Swagger before.
Yeah, he was his dad or something like that, wasn't he?
He was his dad. And so they were looking for Swagger, somebody to handle Swagger. And I just happened to be close to where they were coming to, Nashville, and I just happened to hit it. And I'll say one thing about WWE. When you sit around and you think your career is just, there's no chance.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, yep.
And I'll tell you how old I was. I was 63 years old. And when they call and I get a job with WWE at 63, come on. No, that doesn't happen. That does not happen to anybody.
I can't imagine you were sitting around too many days at the Mantell residence expecting that call to come in for something like that.
No. But then after that happened, I got hired, and they got me a little outfit and a shirt and a vest, and they wanted me to channel Tea Party too. I did that. So, and then I went to work. The next day, they were in Little Rock, and they called me about 10 o'clock in the morning. Little Rock is 340 miles from Nashville. They called me, they said, "Listen, can you make Little Rock?" I said, "Yeah, give me a ticket." "Well, that's the problem. The only flight that gets you in here doesn't get you in here till 8 o'clock. Can you drive?" So I said, "Yeah." I went and got my car and drove 340 miles to Little Rock.
Wow.
Drove back.
I remember.
And then during that week, they ended up putting me on the pay-per-view that Sunday, and then I went to work. And then it was 5 days a week, every week. So,
wow. I remember
and
exactly.
they said, "Do you want to go on?" They just wanted me to do a television. They just wanted me to do TV. And I said, "Hey, I can go on the road." They said, "Do you want to go on the road?" I said, "Yeah, put me on the road." I said, "Okay." They said, "Okay." So I went on the road. So when you're that age and you think your career's over, then you end up in South Africa, or then you end up in front of the Eiffel Tower in Paris, or in front of Big Ben in London, or in Munich, Germany, right at Olympic Stadium. Like I said, those things just don't happen. But it did, and one thing about WWE, they treated me very, very well. And I want to tell this whole story. WrestleMania 29 in MetLife Stadium, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
I went out with Jack, 82,000 people, and we had a match with Alberto Del Rio, and it was his real name. So we came back, and I'm sitting in the viewing area, and I told you this a little earlier before we started.
Yep.
Going there. And I see Donald Trump walk in the viewing area with his two sons, Eric and, I forgot the other's name, Eric and whatever, and Ivanka. They walk in, and I see him, but I lose him. He goes somewhere, and then I turn back to watching the TV or talking to whoever I was talking to. I think I'm talking to Damien Sandow. So in about 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, I feel a peck on my shoulder. And I look up, and it's Donald Trump. And he looks at me, and he says, I enjoyed your speech. I enjoyed your promo. It was great. It was huge. It was stupendous, or whatever he said. And he shook my hand, and he walked off. And I didn't know it at the time, but after he shook my hand, he walked off with my gimmick. Because Make America Great Again is just we the people on steroids. So,
did you think that 2 years later, that little handshake from that man's appearance getting a bizarre Hall of Fame induction in a sport he really didn't have a heck of a lot to do with, that you would help kick off his campaign to become president of the United States?
I could have. I think I had something to do with it. But he didn't just come up just for the hell of it. He came up because he enjoyed it. He liked it. So I appreciate him doing that. And I'll say one thing about the WWE, and I may have said this before. They were very, very good to me and treated me very good because, and I told you this a little earlier too, I think Vince respects guys who've been in this business for a long time. I think he's been in this business maybe 2 years more than I have, and I think he has a respect for that. And as a result of that, I got 4 years out of him, but I didn't expect to get anything. So to Vince McMahon and the whole McMahon family, thank you very much.
Hey, like I said before we went on the air and started recording, isn't it nice to hear something like that? A lot of the times when guys get released, or even the girls, they're swinging for the fences where they feel they may have been a little shortchanged, but you certainly appreciate and gave it 110%, even willing to go out on the road for the WWE Live non-televised events.
Well, everybody, I think, in one way or the other, can feel slighted by something that happened to them in their life. But to make that public, I don't think it helps anyone. I don't think it even helps the person who went public with it. Because, it's like reading a wrestling book, of which I'll have my books with me in Orlando at WrestleCon.
2 phenomenal books, by the way. I wanted to talk a little bit about that. But
you read both of them, right?
I've read both of them, yep, long before you and I ever touched base. They're great.
You enjoy it?
Loved them. Absolutely loved them.
Well, let me tell the people, there's
Sure.
2 books, and one's called Tales from a Dirt Road. That was my second one. And the first one was A World According to Dutch. And what it is, it's just a book, a collection of real road stories that I'd either participated in or been around or been a witness to. And I'm proud to say that I didn't out anybody. I didn't call anybody a drug addict. I didn't call anybody an alcoholic. I didn't call anybody gay or anything like that. It was just stories that, unless they're documented and written down, they're forgotten. Because that other stuff, to me, some things are best left unsaid, so don't say them. Because I wouldn't say anything in a book that I wouldn't say to somebody's face.
You'll get a
And
lot.
I wouldn't say to somebody's face. I wouldn't write about them, and unless I would tell them what I wrote with them standing right in front of me. Because if I'm going to call them a name, I don't think that's right. And I never dealt that way. But anyway, I'm going to have my books with me, and it's, like I said, a collection of stories that's happened to me along 40-some-odd years in the wrestling profession, and I've seen it all. I've seen territories, what we used to call territories. I've seen them rise and fall, and then the rise and the monopoly almost of the wrestling profession by WWE. And it's been a tremendous ride. If I had to do it over again, would I do it over again? Yes, I would, in a heartbeat. It hasn't always been fun, but it's damn sure been interesting. I'll tell you that.
Well, you are a credit to the industry. When I found out that you would be available for an endeavor like WrestleCon, I think we booked this going back to last summer when you first got when you parted ways with WWE. I was so thrilled to be able to have someone like you come along for the ride. And at that point, I didn't have any idea, and I don't know if you did, that you'd wind up in the current position you're in right now, back with formerly TNA, now Impact Wrestling all over again.
Yeah, it's my trajectory for the last since 2013. It's been a wild ride. And I finished up with the WWE, and all of a sudden in TNA, they transfer over to new ownership, a new company, which, by the way, has just signed a deal in the UK with ITV, which is, from what I hear, the equivalent of NBC.
Yeah, isn't that something?
And they just signed that. They just signed a new deal in India. They also signed a deal within the last month with Spike UK. And what they're looking for now is nothing, against Pop TV, but they're looking for a bigger outlet in the United States. And I think the country is showing, at this point, nobody thought they would show any growth. They're showing tremendous growth already. And it's a great company to work for, and the people who took it over, great people, business people, and so far, so good. And we're working on it, so we're trying to make Impact great. We can't say it again because it's too much like Trump. But make Impact great, that's what we're trying to do, and I think we're going to succeed at.
Hey, you know what? Everybody's an expert online on Twitter and Facebook and things like that. So many people expected Impact Wrestling to be dead at this point, but you guys are doing a phenomenal. I know the hard work you've been putting in every time we've interacted via email or telephone. You've been busy at the office or down at Universal in Orlando. I know my crazy buddy, Uncle Al Snow, is a big believer in the mission. Al has been such a great friend to me over the past 12 years or so. I love that guy. I look forward to seeing him in Orlando. But I lost my train of thought there for a second. Oh, Pop TV.
That's because you're getting old.
I hope. Well, you know what? After the car accident I was in with the Iron Sheik, I think that pretty much did me in, but that's a different story for a different time. There's so many fans out there that they claim they're wrestling fans, and it's almost like they don't want to see something positive happen, and I think that's crazy. But when you talk about deals in India or in the United Kingdom, you know what? That money is just as good as money that comes from the United States or other countries. I'm sure.
What I think people don't realize. Let's just take the WWE, the economic impact it has on the economy. Say a WrestleMania coming to town, that might be worth to the city $100 million.
Sure. Yep.
Or 50. I don't know. 50 million. A lot of money. But they hire a lot of people. And they hire buildings and caterers and cars and rent hotel rooms, and business booms when the WWE comes in. If only for a Raw. I never really asked, but I'm sure that probably the WWE rents at least 100 or 150 hotel rooms every night that they do SmackDown or Raw.
Oh, with all those production people? Absolutely.
And they rent all those cars, they rent everything. So when they come to town, they leave a lot of money in the city they're in. And you multiply that for 104 times a year. Now you put your pay-per-views in there. I mean, I don't even know how they do pay-per-views now. I guess they still do pay-per-views, but it's on the network. Is that what they do?
If you don't have the network, you can still order it on traditional pay-per-view. I don't think that many folks do now, where the network's such a great value.
And they run probably, Raw will run 4 days a week, SmackDown will run 4 days a week. So they got 8 days and, eight events in a 4-day schedule all across the country. So they do generate a lot of money and pay a lot of taxes.
That's right. And the NXT brand has really taken off, where they're starting to tour outside of Florida now, too.
You're talking about Impact, and it used to be TNA. I worked for them about 6 or 7 years before we parted ways. But even back in those days, I had never seen more obituaries written for anything that was written for TNA. Oh, they can't make it to the end of the month. Oh, they're not going to make it. Oh, it's over. Close the doors. Take it home. But they stayed in business, for 15 years,
And
which
still
is quite an achievement in today's market.
and alive and global now. But I got to ask you this, Dutch. Right now you have the power of the pen, so to speak. What worries me about, and this is just me, I don't want to speak for anyone else, but what worries me about professional wrestling in 2017, I think that you have more wrestling fans that aren't willing to spend their time and money on a product than there are that do. And that's not for any one company, that's for every company. And I think that's the biggest problem right now. I think
Well, you got the network.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to watch wrestling, you go on YouTube, which is free, and you go to the network for $9.99, and you get your full wrestling. So, for a company like Impact to really take a chance to enter that market, it takes some balls.
Sure,
It
absolutely.
takes to do that, and you got to have dedicated people and people who know what they're doing. Hopefully, I know what I'm doing, and hopefully that Jeff and everybody else with me, they know what they're doing, and together we can create something.
They have the right people for the job. I think the office structure you have is unbelievable with the talent that you have behind the scenes and some of the great talent in the ring. Eddie Edwards, he started with us way back when he had green hair back in October of 2002. To see him go on and become the world champion, that's such a great thing.
Yeah, it is. So we want to give all these guys a chance to shine and see what they can do. And I don't know how many active talents we have, 30, 40 maybe, but they all get a chance, and we all try to get as much out of them as we can, and everybody is helping everybody. That's what I like. I like the spirit in Impact Wrestling now. The spirit's there, the enthusiasm is there, and let's just see where we can go with this thing.
If you're a lapsed TNA fan, or if you don't get Pop TV like I do, you can still follow it on various social media and online platforms, and then you guys are building to a big pay-per-view in July down in Orlando, so that's something else to really look forward to.
Yeah, that's Slammiversary. That's the big one, and we're and TNA. It's no secret they've had their troubles over the last 3 or 4 years, and they didn't just disappear overnight. There's still problems. The WWE has problems too. That's why they call it work. You got to work through all this stuff.
Right.
But I expect big things out of Impact, and I got full faith that we'll get it done.
Hey, the more jobs full-time that are created for folks in professional wrestling, the better, and I think Impact has hired the right guy for the job. Maybe I'm a little prejudiced because we have you coming into Orlando next week, but I think we're going to have a great time at WrestleCon. It is at the Hyatt Regency on I-Drive in Orlando. We're going to have Dutch with us. I'm sure you may hear a question or two about the Hardy Boys, like Shelton, I'm sure, is going to be asked if he's going to be on Raw Monday or Tuesday as he recovers from shoulder surgery, and I'm sure a few fans might ask John Cena Sr. if the raccoon on his head is still dead, but that's a different story for a different time, too. For all the great information, check us out online, thebostonwrestling.com superset. I know, Dutch, you're very, very active on Twitter. We can throw a graphic up, but if you want to tell the fans how they can easily reach you for some good laughs a lot of the time, how can they reach you on Twitter?
On Twitter, Dirty D Mantell. And I actually have two. This is my Dirty Dustman 1. That was the one I had before I got to. And the Dirty D Mantell is the old Zeb Colter at the WWE when I left there. They said, take this with you. I said, okay. So I got 220-some-odd thousand followers. So, and if somebody just gives you 220,000 followers, just take it and run with it.
Don't lose them. Well, Dutch, it has been a pleasure to have you here. I'm so excited to have you with us, and I really mean that. Anytime we have a talent come in and we invest to have them come in and so on, you want to put them over as strong as possible. But I really, really mean this. I've been looking forward to it since last summer, since I first reached out to you. And now it's finally, all these months later, it's coming to fruition at a very, very exciting time for you. I know the fans probably are going to have a lot of questions and are going to look forward to creating some memories of their own.
Well, we'll all have a good time. I really enjoy meeting fans. See, long-time fans or even short-term fans. they're fans and they have a lot of questions, and I'm more than happy to answer as many as I can.
Unbelievable.
So don't feel shy. Ask me whatever you want, and if I don't want to answer, I'll just refuse to answer and walk out of the room and pout and go in the corner and start crying. So.
And then I'll be the crying, because I'll be the one crying because no one will come up and get the autographs.
Okay.
Well, you heard it from the horse's mouth, fans. We're going to have a great time down in Orlando as part of WrestleMania week. Again, head on over to bostonwrestling.com to find out how you can be part of all the fun as part of WrestleMania week 33 down in Orlando this March 31st and April 1st. Until we speak again, folks, you and yours be well.
The Millennium Wrestling Federation's 15th anniversary tour begins this fall and rolls into 2017 throughout New England, down the East Coast, and into the Carolinas. If your nonprofit organization is looking for an interactive, turnkey experience while putting the fun into fundraising, you've met the perfect tag team partner. MWF offers a variety of packages for groups of almost any size, from our live events at the Boston Garden, the Kowloon Entertainment Dining Complex, and the legendary Suffolk Downs, to high school gyms and function halls. We've presented live events everywhere. Since 2001, the MWF's mission has been simple: keep the kids off the streets. Under the leadership of President Dr. David Reese, we bring the superstars of yesterday, today, and tomorrow to your town, not for a quote-unquote wrestling show, but an event that features action-packed in-ring wrestling, autograph and pose photo opportunities, question and answer sessions, and much more. It is the best of sports and entertainment. The week of your event, we can add on to the endeavor with anti-bullying campaigns, library meet and reads, youth sport concussion seminars, and more. Our live events are fit for fans of every age, from 5 to 95. This fall, as part of our new Kids Club program, we offer live event experiences exclusively for the youngest of fans. On the flip side, we can also produce a tailor-made event for fans of an older demographic as well. We work with you every single step of the way to get the word out to fans near and far, on our local television offerings, and to over 50,000 fans and growing on our social media platform. Your success is our success. If your group has had enough of boring candy bar and wrapping paper sales and has the energy to team with our passionate fan base, bringing the MWF experience to your community is the answer to put smiles on faces while raising cash for your cause. Contact us today to get the ball rolling for your custom-made event that you want to bring back year after year. Don't just take it from us. Here are folks we've teamed with in the past.
Boston, share the experience of the new era WWE SmackDown Live and the fallout from WrestleMania, so you can hashtag best night of my life with non-stop action and the moments that will leave you breathless. Plus all your favorite superstars, no filter. It's WWE SmackDown Live on Tuesday, April 11th. Tickets and ringside packages are available Friday, February 17th at 10 a.m.
You already know Kowloon Restaurant, established in 1950 and spanning 4 generations, serves a multi-Asian menu. Did you also know that Kowloon Restaurant is New England's premier Asian dining and entertainment complex, serving Cantonese, Szechuan, Thai, and Polynesian cuisine? And did you know that Kowloon Restaurant is also the home of the finest Japanese sushi? If you haven't dined at Kowloon Restaurant lately, then you simply haven't dined at Kowloon. Kowloon Restaurant, Route 1 North in Saugus.